Alright, guys and gals, I want you all right now to do a silent nod to yourself if this next sentence applies to you. I am frequently insecure about expressing what I want from my dates because I don't want to look needy or desperate. Whether it's men or women, this is one of the top 5 most common problems I come across. And we deal with this problem in a variety of ways. Some of us just wait until we find a partner who magically guesses what we want. Some of us can't hold back and just be needy and naggy. Some of us go aloof. Some of us just put up with not getting what we want or need very often so as to avoid looking needy. But none of these strategies are ideal, and none of them will make your partners respect you, and none of them will get men or women treating you how you want them to. So let's talk about the critical difference between being needy and confidently expressing what you want. So I want to openly admit that I was very needy with my first few girlfriends. I knew how I needed to be liked and loved and treated, and in my head, I was asking for it. But eventually this behavior seemed to cause women to lose respect for me. Heck, I lost respect for me along the way, constantly feeling like a whining little child never getting what he needed. So I reacted by taking a huge step back. I figured if women didn't want to give me what I needed, then I was going to be selfish and take what I needed from the world, since evidently women were too selfish and inconsiderate. Now, not everyone reacts this way, but plenty of men and women do. So I started being super selfish, and sure enough, this worked better with women. I felt like I had control back in my dating life. But there was a catch. Now, every woman I met was super needy with me. So I was constantly dating women that would repulse me eventually. This wasn't ideal either. I had become the very thing I hated so much in the first place. It was at this point in my life I was starting to get heavily involved in self-development, and I started coming up against this issue. If I wanted to be an emotionally well-adjusted man, I had to be comfortable expressing my wants and needs without being needy. Healthy people aren't selfish. They don't disregard the wants of others, but they always seem to have this ability to request things from others without looking needy or desperate. And emotionally healthy men and women attract other emotionally healthy men and women, which is what and I presume, what you want. And that was a huge problem for me because it's right there in the word, needy. If you have needs, then in my head, by definition, you're needy. And I struggled for the longest time to know when I was being reasonable and when I was being needy. But because I struggled, I want to try to help give you guys the distinction that would have helped me to know so much when I was a younger man. So neediness is created by one very specific thing. We emotionally turn things into needs that are actually wants. We do this because we crave something so badly it feels like a need. You don't need your crush to go on a date with you, you just really, really want her to. So when we express our wants, we express the emotional need we are focused on when we do it, and this sounds needy. So, for example, imagine I want to tell a girl in my social group that I actually like her and want to take her on a date. You could say something like, "Hey, I've been thinking about you so much recently, and I really, really, really like you, and I want to take you out on a date. It's totally cool if you don't want to. I'll just die a little bit inside. Haha, no, just kidding. But yeah, it would be so cool if you just let me take you out." Now, this is hard for me to act out perfectly because so much of what makes neediness is a feeling you get from the way they say what they say, more so than just the words. But compare that with the second option, which is how I'd say it without a hint of worry that I'm being needy. "Hey, since I've gotten to know you, I've realized that I like you a lot more than just as friends. Now, you may not feel that, but if you do, and I hope you do, then I definitely want to take you out on a date sometime." Now, this one is much easier for me to act out because it's how I'd feel. I'm expressing a want. It should feel clear from the way that I've said it, that I will be okay if that want wasn't provided by her, because emotionally it's not a need. If this woman rejects me and I take it okay and go back to being normal around her, she's never going to go telling her friends how needy I was. How about another example? You've been seeing a man for a couple of months and you aren't seeing him as often as you'd like. That's not a needy thing to feel. There's nothing unreasonable about that experience. What a needy person feels is, I need to know that person cares enough to make time for me. I need to feel that so badly, and I need it from them specifically. So, people will often do in that situation is they'll make persistent, small, subtle comments or complaints about it. You know, things like, well, if we saw each other more often, you'd have heard this story already. Or, why don't you have more time to hang out? Or, my ex has had more time to see me in the past. That's what I'm used to. Rather than just having the direct conversation. So you can and should say something like, so we haven't been seeing each other as often as I'd like. And when I start to get close to someone, I want to see them more often in order to make a deeper connection. Is there a way that we could make this happen? Now, that's not going to feel needy. That's expressing a want from a position of confidence and expectation that you will take care of your own wants and needs with or without that person. So while you may require a long-term partner to have enough spare quality time to spend with you in order for you to feel comfortable and safe and loved, you don't need it. And you don't need it from that specific man or woman. Knowing this difference in your gut when you make your request will completely change the way you talk and act and feel when expressing what you want. Neediness is also almost always accompanied by a veiled desire to control the outcome. We want to make that girl like us, as opposed to hoping she will, but being cool that she may or may not. We want to make our partners spend more time with us, as opposed to hoping they will want to. Anytime you feel you want to control an outcome, you're starting to become needy. Let me drive that point home this way. What question do you think more men and women are asking me? How do I make a girl like me? How can I make him fall in love with me? Or, how can I be more likable to women? How can I be more lovable? Right? Of course, it's the first set that everyone's asking me. But ultimately, you should only ever aim to control yourself. The trick is, if you emotionally need that specific person to give you what you want, then you're likely to behave in a needy fashion. You need to take a time out and ask yourself, is this really a need? How else can I satisfy this want or need on my own? Have a game plan in your head what you will do if the other person can't meet your wants or needs in this situation. There is great power in openly wanting something and telling the world what that is, and being entirely okay not getting it. More than okay, you own the shit out of your personal wants. I personally want to be financially secure and semi-retired. Then I can devote more of my life to helping men and women without also having to earn a living from it. Now, nobody owes that to me. I want it quite badly. I'm going to focus on what I can do to make that happen for myself. Remember, the world owes you nothing. It was here first. I should end this video with one very important note. There is always a time and place for being needy. If you are in a car accident, you're needy. If you have a close family member die, or suddenly get fired and don't know where your next paycheck is coming from, or too many things go wrong at once in your life and you have a moment of despair, then you should be needy. It would be entirely unreasonable for anyone to hold it against you. But that should only be a small part of your overall life. Just like feeling sad or angry or scared is completely reasonable on occasion. But if it happens too much of the time, then you're likely living a life in a maladaptive way. It's beautiful to have a partner who can be there for you in true moments of need. In fact, I'd argue it's one of the reasons we want to have a partner. It's one of the reasons why a great partner provides us a sense of safety. But you've got to learn to confidently own your wants from your partner. You don't need a particular response from them. Want it. And if they don't want to give it to you, have a game plan for how you're going to respond. Any man or woman with a clear set of wants is going to be much more attractive to other emotionally healthy partners. Trust me, when you get good at asking for what you want from the world, not just romantic partners, you'll get what you want a hell of a lot more of the time. You should never be ashamed of your wants. Just don't mistake your wants for needs, and you'll get a lot further in life. As always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video.